In this video, we're going to look at what are attributes of our active record models. So let's go ahead and take a look at our database real quick here. If we look at, for example, our critics table, let's go into the design view of it. We have 4 fields: our ID field, our first name, last name, and our email field. The ID field we shouldn't really mess around with. We should let Ruby on Rails deal with that. The only time we'll be looking at the ID is when we actually reference it, but we shouldn't be setting that. We should let MySQL take care of that. That's what we asked it to do. The other 3 fields are what we'll mainly be concerned with, and this is pretty general in nature as far as all tables. To actually take a look at what these attributes are, let's go ahead and run our console of our Movie Critic application. So it's loaded up our environment. Let's go ahead and load up that one critic that we have in here. We've created in prior videos. If I jump back to my database, let's look at that critic table. There's one entry, and it has an ID of 2, and that was that sample one created. So let's go in here, and how we find that or load that particular one, we do find. And if we just put the 2, for how the find command works, or the find method, is that if we just put a value in there, it assumes that that is the ID of the record that we want. So we just type it in there as I have here. It goes out. Now it sets the local variable critic to that particular record. Now keep in mind, it's that record is the values of that have been put into this object. So if we make changes to critic, unless we save them, they won't change in the database. And it's important to understand that there's a difference between setting variables and actually saving those variables back out to your database. If you're just manipulating that without saving it, you'll lose those changes. So we've loaded up this particular record into that local variable. If I want to see the attribute names or what fields in there, and this is powerful, I'm going to go over to the API here and show you. So we're back at our API documentation. I showed you in an earlier video how to get to its api.rubyonrails.org. If we go to and I'm in the active record base, and then down, I've scrolled down and there's a series of methods. So here's the top of it right here, and I've scrolled down a ways and gotten to the list of methods and gone to attribute names. And we can see that that method returns an array of names for the attributes available on this object, sorted alphabetically. So if we go ahead and issue that method, now we end up with the 4 field names or attribute names. Why this is powerful is that you can programmatically access these and then create loop structures, and that's how scaffolding works, where you actually have your code loop through this. So if additional fields, for example, get added, you don't need to worry about it. They'll automatically be picked up by your Ruby on Rails application if you're using some type of automated loop using this attribute names. So if we want to look at what is the attributes of this particular object, we see here we've gotten the values, and it's a hash that gets returned to us where we see last name, the value of that, the ID, the first name, the email. So it's a very quick and easy way to access these attributes to see what the values are. Now if we want to access a particular attribute, we actually issue name of the attribute as a method call, and then we can set that value, or I can just call it like that, or I can set it. Let's change the spelling, maybe it got misspelled. Now it's changed. If I go ahead and issue that attributes, you'll see that it's changed. If we switch over to my database, and let me open it back up again, you'll notice that that has not been changed. And this is what I was saying earlier, that until you save out those changes, this will not be reflected in our database. Now it will be. So just keep that in mind when you are coding, when you make changes. you need to make sure that you save them back out.